welcome back to Clash of Cultures. As we continue along with the 2023 College Football Preview Series, we take a look at the recently dropped preseason coaches poll, the top 25 for this upcoming season, just to kind of give a quick deep dive into what we think about the rankings, what teams are highly rated on there, underrated on there, and just kind of give our overall discussion and dialogue based on it. But as you guys can see, my dad is not at the house right now. He's on a business trip for his job right now. But we still decided to go ahead and push out this content for you. We are pushing up on like 75 straight days of uploading. So we wanted to keep that going. Again, we're going to be giving away a Heisman signed jersey at 1,000 subscribers. We also have our first live show coming in about 4.5, 5 days. So make sure you guys turn on the notification bell so that way you guys don't miss that. And if you're new around here, make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment what you guys think about the top 25. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and pull up that top 25 right now, just so we can kind of see it. So, Dad, when you look at this, what is your kind of immediate reaction to the first thing that stands out when you look at this list?
I think Alabama's getting a lot of respect. I think that's part of the Nick Saban, just their era and what he's been able to accomplish. I don't think they're the third best team in college football. The only other thing that I guess that really stands out to me is Tulane. I know they beat USC in the bowl game last season to end the season, but again, I think that was a USC team that was not motivated to be there. I think Tulane, there is no way that Tulane is the 23rd best team in college football. I think they're going to have a good record, but they play in a lower conference. So I think they're getting credit for the conference they play in, not necessarily who are the best 25 teams in college football. So those are my quick takeaways. There's a couple teams that I think that are going to make some movement. But in terms of a first poll, I think you got to have Georgia first, back-to-back champions, even though I don't necessarily think they're the number one team in the nation coming in. I think, it'd be too disrespectful not to have them first. They deserve to start with top billing, and then, kind of work it out as we go from there. Everything else looks kind of ho-hum, I guess. What's your thoughts?
So there are a few things on here that kind of stick out to me immediately. One, I do think that Utah being at 14 is a little disrespectful, especially when they're behind, Washington, when they're behind Texas, when they're behind Clemson. I think Utah needs to be a little bit higher coming off of back-to-back conference titles. I know it's not to the same, credit or amount of Georgia winning national championships, but Utah is a two-time Pac-12 champion. They need to be a little bit higher. They're behind USC and Washington in their own conference, and I don't agree with that. The other thing that surprised me a bit is how low Texas is, because with what the buzz was for Texas this offseason, obviously this is just the coaches poll, so it doesn't really mean anything. But it's kind of surprising having them at 12 and not a little bit higher. I didn't expect for Clemson to be higher than a lot of these teams that are higher than. If I made my list now, I would probably have Clemson behind Tennessee, Washington, Texas, Notre Dame, and Utah. I would probably have Clemson around 13 or 14, but that's me personally. So, I mean, obviously I'll take it. So don't get me wrong. I'm a Clemson fan. I'll take it, but I don't see how they did that. And my other one kind of big takeaway was how low Texas A&M is. The reason
you can't. I mean, they were 5-7 last year.
Yeah, but when you look at kind of like the preseason hype with what we'll talk about this Sunday on our live stream, there's so many people talking about this team and kind of penciling them in as a contender this year. I didn't think they would be that low. I thought they would be, because if you remember when we did the most overrated and underrated video, I specifically said, how can this team be talked about in like the top 15 when they haven't done anything? So from my understanding, I thought that the overall general consensus from college football fans and the college football media was that they were going to be somewhere around the TCU, Kansas State, Oregon State mark, right around there. But I mean, obviously coaches feel different, and they're a little bit lower. I don't mind about the Tulane placement, just because I look at what Cincinnati was doing a few years back, and they were starting off right around this time, right around this placement as well. After they had that undefeated season, and they beat Auburn, I believe, in the bowl game in Florida. I believe that's who they beat. So I mean, I don't mind the Tulane, because I mean they're gonna win games. But because their strength of schedule is so low, they may win, but they're not going to move up drastically. Right. So I think they're going to hover right around, the 18 to 23 mark through the duration of the season. And then obviously when we get closer to week 9, 10, 11, when other teams start losing, they'll slowly creep up. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to get in the playoff or anything major like that. But I'm not mad at the 23 mark.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the top of the rankings, I think they got it really. They hit that nail right on the head.
Well,
But
I mean, there's
but
a couple.
besides Alabama,
Yeah, there's some movement I would have. I think I'd have just based off of what they're returning. I think I'd have Washington up some. I'd probably move Penn State back a little bit. Um, like I said, you got to put Georgia one. I think Michigan is probably the most talented team in terms of what they're returning. Um, but yeah, I think the only thing, and again, this is probably my opinion versus anybody else. I'd probably move Washington. I'd probably swap Washington and Penn State.
um,
I
so
think
you
it,
would have so you would have Washington higher than Florida State.
yes, because again, because of what they're returning, I think that's going to be a tough team. I'd still have them behind USC. Again, I think Oregon's going to overtake both of them, but I think just starting out with, especially with what we know, and what we know is they're returning 2,000-yard receivers and a great defense. I think that's a team that probably should move up, especially when we're talking about returning. Like I said, we know what Tennessee lost. We know what we believe Joe Milton to be, but we don't know if Joe Milton is going to be what it is we're expecting. We know what Michael Penix is. This is I think he second in the nation in passing yards last year. And again, with 1,000 yard receivers returning, I think they deserve a little bit more respect with what they're bringing back now. And this is my problem with preseason polls. There's so many things that we're guessing, right? We're guessing that Joe Milton's going to be good. We're guessing that Georgia's going to be able to retool. We're guessing that Alabama's going to be able to retool. We're guessing that Ohio State and that quarterback situation isn't going to be a problem. There's so many things we're guessing. This is why I think this is a situation where we should wait a couple weeks. In 3-4 weeks, I think we'll have much better. Well, and I mean 3-4 weeks in the season, we'll have much better answers on where these teams really should be placed.
And before we head out, obviously this was more of a quick video, and just kind of giving our thoughts on the newly posted top 25. But what are your thoughts on Notre Dame being at 13?
So it's really a matter of what Hartman is. They have a tough schedule, and I suspect that, like we talked about, they have that gauntlet that they go through with Clemson, Ohio State, and USC, and the expectation is either 1 or 2 and 2-1. I think this is about where they'll finish. I think they'll be up and down as the year goes, but I think they'll be around about the 15 mark as the season ends. So I'm not mad at that at all.
Yeah.
I'm actually more shocked at Oregon State at 18.
Well, it's hard because I mean, when you look at, like we talked about this so many times on this channel, when you guys look at how many Pac-12 teams are on this list, you have
Yeah.
Oregon State, then you have Oregon, you have Utah, you have Washington, you have USC. So you have 5 teams in the Pac-12. Obviously, I haven't counted for every other conference, but I would assume that's the most of any conference on this list. I think Oregon State is the 5th best of the 5 teams. So I think when you have 5 teams in the top 18 of the coaches poll, that shows how deep the conference is, how many quality teams are in the conference. So I'm not mad at Oregon State being at 18. I think they'll probably finish around there just because they have so many hard games to play. I don't expect them to be able to beat everybody on their schedule. I don't think they're going to go an 11-1 type year. I think I predicted 9-3 for them. I could be wrong. I don't remember off the top of my head. We did so many damn previews that I don't remember. But I would expect 9-3. But again, when you're looking at a team like Oregon State, who is not a blue blood, who is not a historic program, just to be in the top 20 coming into a season is a win, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm a big DJ fan, so I hope that he does really well there. I hope he has a good bounce back season. But I think this is a really good spot for them.
Yeah, just of note, I think SEC also has 5 teams. Big Ten
Yes,
has 4. Like you mentioned, the Pac-12, Big 12. Just off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they also have. Oh, they have 5. They have Texas, TCU, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech. So they have 5 teams as well. So
maybe
3
I'm
conferences with 5 teams.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be good. I'm just by looking at this, I'm really excited for the season. We
Yes,
are
absolutely. Yeah,
literally,
we're getting close.
yeah, 2.5 weeks away from the first game, 2.5, 3 weeks away from the first game. It's going to be super fun. Like I said before, we have our live show coming in 4.5, 5 days. It's on Sunday. It's already scheduled on the channel. So make sure you guys go hit the notification bell on that live stream so you know exactly when we go live. It's going to be a kind of a situation where we have a few topics we want to go over, but we really want to engage with you guys, have you guys give us some questions, any topics you guys want us to cover as well. But that's going to be super fun. But as always, if you guys stuck around with us this long, thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.